Paul McCartney talks about Beatles legend John Lennon's relationship before he was killed. If John Lennon's relationship had not been restored before he was killed, Sir Paul McCartney has admitted that he would have felt crippled by remorse. Mark Chapman, a disturbed fan, fatally shot the legendary Beatles member John in front of his New York City home in 1980 when he was 40 years old. Conflict between John and his former songwriting partner Sir Paul, now 81, resulted from John's involvement in legal disputes involving the Beatles' back catalogue before he quit the group in 1969. Midway through the 1970s, their friendship was restored, and Sir Paul began to visit John in the New York residence he shared with his second wife, Yoko Ono. However, Sir Paul acknowledges that he would have been heartbroken if he had missed the opportunity to patch up his friendship with John before he was killed. In the end, I was quite grateful that I'd had some really nice times with him before that happened, Sir Paul stated on the McCartney, A Life in Lyrics podcast. Had he just been killed and we still didn't get along, that would have been the worst thing in the world. That would have made me feel awfully guilty. Fortunately, we got along well and discussed bread baking. You must keep in mind that I filed a lawsuit against him and his lifelong buddies from Liverpool. There are many things that need to be overcome. The character of John before his sad murder was also revealed by Sir Paul. The Get Back singer recalls John as an intelligent and sarcastic man who used his jokes and insults to insulate himself from the outside world. John's persona, according to him, was extremely and hopelessly guarded. His wit sprang from there. It's to protect themselves from the outside world, like so many comedians. John could be very caustic because of his background, which was really difficult. His father left the family, his uncle passed away, and his mother was murdered. It was my way of coping with the death of my mother, which we all could. He had a few appealing qualities, including that. Paul, I'm concerned about how people will remember me once I pass away, he said to me, in my memory. Hold it right there, I commanded after being stunned. The public will view you as outstanding. My priest resembled his. You're fantastic, my boy, I would say. It would improve his mood. After John's murder in 1980, Sir Paul claimed last year that he couldn't talk about John's passing. On the day of his buddy John's passing, Sir Paul described how he came home from the studio and switched on the TV to watch others discussing what John meant to them. It was quite terrible when John passed away, he added. I was unable to fully talk about it because of how hard it had impacted me. I recall coming home from the studio the day we learned of his passing. When you turn on the television, you hear people say things like, well, John Lennon was this and what he was this, and I remember meeting him. In order to come up with the opening chords for the song, the singer claimed she sat on the wooden floor in the corner with my guitar. The line "The night we cried," according to Sir Paul, refers to a drunken conversation he and his deceased friend, who was killed more than 40 years ago, had in which they told each other a few truths and how much they cared for one another.